It's that time of year again, guys. It's time for Halloween-themed videos, and here's mine, 8-bit horror games. It's that time of year again, guys. It's time for Halloween-themed videos, and here's mine, 8-bit horror games. Nightmare on Elm Street. So this was a 4-player game that I actually never tried, and you could accomplish this by using the 4 score. So each player would be the teenager, and you have to find the bones that are scattered throughout Elm Street. You could fall asleep. There was a sleep meter that constantly went down. I think there was coffee cups that you could find throughout the levels to stay awake longer, but honestly, if you went to sleep, you got powers. Like if you're looking right now, he has the ninja power. You took more damage against Freddy, but you also dealt out more damage, so it seemed to be beneficial, even though there was a little bit of losing some power. Now, I remember only beating a few of these Freddy Krueger iterations because, you know, at the time I wasn't great at games. I think this came out when I was like 8 or 9 years old. And like I said, I never got to try it with 4 players, but reading up on this a little bit, if any one player fell asleep, all 4 players would go into the dream world. Looking back at it, I think it was the first 3 movies that were scary that made this game scary, because really, like, it's nothing that you haven't seen in something like Ghosts and Goblins. Like, you're just jumping over bats, rats, snakes. You get the occasional zombie or Frankenstein monster. I think AVGN even said that this could have been called A Haunted House, and it's pretty accurate because it's not really Freddy Krueger-ish except for fighting him as a boss battle. You know, not super scary even by today's standards, but, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street, it was fun to play. Like I said, I never got to try the 4-player. I would definitely go back and try that now. And, you know, just looking up some random information for this in an, I was going to say an episode, in an issue of Nintendo Power, apparently the original concept was supposed to be that you were going to be Freddy Krueger, and you were going to be going out and killing all the I guess the kids on the street. Obviously it never came to fruition. This is the game that we got, but imagine that game on the NES, an 8-bit game like that. That would have been crazy. Would have been fun. I definitely would have played it. I don't know if my parents would have let me have it at 8 or 9 years old though, but Nightmare on Elm Street. Next is my favorite for the 8-bit horror games. This was Friday the 13th. I never beat this one as a child either. I've only recently beat this game in maybe the last 3 or 4 years where I actually sat down and I had to watch a walkthrough because the map for me was always a little disorienting. I was never really sure which weapons to get, which were the most beneficial, how to use my players, you know, like just as a child I wasn't really paying attention to that. And then I have only started playing NES games again in like the last 10 or 15 years, and I only sat down to really play it now. But the music, the death scene, just going through the cabins, that over-the-shoulder style, Jason popping out on his own. This game actually scared me. Like the first couple of times that Jason popped out on me, like I wasn't ready for it. Like I remember renting this game as a child from like the local video game movie store, and it scared me. Then this is right from the game manual. It's a pretty typical summer at Crystal Lake. There's a group of happy children staying in the camp. You and your 6 camp counselor friends are watching over the kids while enjoying the lake and the wilderness. The days are bright and sunny, the nights are cool and clear, and Jason is on the rampage. It's up to you to stop him, but it's not going to be easy. You must first fight your way through forests filled with man-eating wolves, caves covered with blood-sucking bats, and hordes of mindless zombies everywhere you turn. You must also help any friend who is in danger, or else you can just kiss them goodbye. And hiding in a cabin or staying adrift in a canoe won't keep you safe. Jason will find you anywhere. The only way to survive this summer is to challenge Jason face to face and destroy him. Sweet Home is a game that is fantastic. This is an excellent horror game, whether you played it in the 90s or if you're just playing it now. I was lucky to get a bootleg or a hacked version of this in English a few years ago, and I just recently beat the game, and I have to say it was fantastic. The RPG strategy, managing your equipment and your players, the horror aspect, obviously, because there were some creepy looking things. This was 8-bit horror. I have to confess that I had to look through a few walkthroughs to understand what I was doing, but this game was phenomenal. I would play it again and again. One of the things that really shocked me the first time was your characters, when they die, they're gone. Like, you don't lose their equipment, you can have another party member carry it, but the first time that I lost a party member, I was shocked. Like, I went online to see what was going on. I couldn't revive them, there was nothing for it. I gotta say, like, the zombies, anything covered with slime, it just looks fantastic. And my god, the music, some of the best music on the Nintendo Entertainment System you will ever find. I can't say anything bad about Sweet Home. Obviously, I could with the items and using the menu, putting things back and forth, but I just won't. I would say this is an amazing game. Everyone needs to play this. This is a Halloween game to play. This is an NES game to play. And of course, the interesting fact about this, if you don't remember Sweet Home, it's because it only came out in Japan when we were kids. It was for the Famicom. We had to wait for ROM hacks and translation hacks later on. Like I said, like, it's not hard to get a copy of this now, and you're doing yourself a favor for giving it a try, because I'm singing this game's praises. The director of the game, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he did go on to direct the Resident Evil series, so it gives you an idea of the game. Okay, so forgive me if I butcher his name. I get that a lot with my Ganyageha name. So it's Takuro Fujiwari. So overall, I'm going to say it again, fantastic game, amazing music, terrific cutscenes that tell the stories, again, managing your players and your items. Do yourself a favor and go play Sweet Home today. For anyone that ever wanted to play Deja Vu but with a horror twist, you have Uninvited. So you're in this creepy house as you try and solve different puzzles, all in the name of rescuing your sibling. It's a point and click game, but don't let that hinder you, because this is actually pretty fun. What you notice is, after a while, that you're in a haunted house, and the story goes that it belongs to a sorcerer and evil things keep happening. Now, I considered whether to add Maniac Mansion instead of Uninvited, but this game just has more of that horror feel, being the haunted house, and you'll see some of the characters and enemies that you come across definitely have more of a Halloween vibe to them, ghosts and skeletons and what have you. Interesting fact, the Japanese version of this, the title of the game was Akuma Shitori, and that translates to the Devil's Invitation. So, you think about it, Akuma, Devil's Invitation. I should have put 2 and 2 together earlier on, but I like it. Looking back on this game, a lot of the words I was surprised I was able to read at such a young age, because this game came out in '88 and I was 7 years old. That's grade 1, grade 2, and we're Ganyet-Gahaga, we're Mohawk people, so English and French are our second and third languages. So to go through all of this English, this is like a really great English reading and writing tutor. I gotta give this more props. Point and click games. And this came out on tons of stuff too. It wasn't just on the NES, it was out on the Macintosh, it was on the Atari ST, Commodore, MS-DOS, Apple IIGS. It was on a lot of home computers as well. And because it's point and click, I'm sure a lot of you have already guessed that. Now this is Chiller. Chiller is a whole entirely different game. I vaguely remember playing this in the arcade, but I only got to play this on the NES maybe about 6 or 7 years ago on one of those knockoff, 250, 300 games in one. So this is an unlicensed light gun where basically you have to kill all the NPC players in here to score points to advance to the next level. Most screens feature helpless, non-playable characters bound or restrained by a variety of medieval torture devices. You have to decide the best way to kill each of them in the shortest amount of time. So headshots aren't a one-shot kill. You have to basically set off the torture devices to kill them and score the most points. An interesting fact about this, the difference between the arcade game and the NES version, they tried to shoehorn in a bit of a storyline so it wasn't completely about violence. They tried to justify what you were doing. It fits in with the Halloween and horror aesthetic, but it's unlicensed Zapper game. Ooh, somebody make like Zombie Duck Hunt now. That'd be fun. I want that. Do that. And I'm going to keep this list short and sweet. I know there's, 10 to 15 other games that we could rattle off that are 8-bit, even 16-bit horror. But down in the comments, I'd like you guys to name, a few games that scared you or were horror-themed back in the day. Let's have a discussion about that. And, feel free if anyone else wants to do a continuation of this video. I'd love to see more like this. Like I said in a previous video, I'm under a time constraint right now with work and being a new father, so I'm happy that I even got anything Halloween themed out. So that's gonna do it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Halloween. Have a great rest of the week, guys. I'm out of here.